Hudson, and this is my music project, world music project with the group. It's a composition and performance. It included me, Deano, Aimee, Leah, and Lara, as you can see here. And we had to come up with we decided to come up with an improvisatory piece centered around more the African culture, which you can hear because it's mainly just percussion. We all had different roles, we all had to just come up with our own patterns and combine it into different algorithms so it all come together into one big one. We use both call and response and polyrhythms several times. Call and response is when we're following what Deano does here. For example, he plays a beat and we've got to play exactly as he does. Polyrhythms, as I said before, we come up with our own individual pattern and just blend them all together to create one beat, basically. That's part of my own idea. I personally contributed as well. Sort of came up with my own polyrhythm for the piece. I think we did well on that particular run through of the piece, but I still feel that it could use room for improvement in several areas. Like, I actually wanted to bring a guitar into it, so we could throw in some Indian influence too. But the others decided I should just grab a drum and go with what they're doing. Mm-hmm. So it ended up being mostly African-centered in the end. But apart from that, what we came up with was quite practical and ended up sounding sufficient enough to record for this.
Okay, thank you very much.
Stop.
Here at Andover College,
we have asked a range of the most prominent local bands
to support a range of charities to perform at Imagine Live.
Imagine Live is an event that we as students have organised in order to raise awareness for these chosen charities in the hope that they will benefit in the long term.
Tickets for the event are £4. Doors are at 7 and the event starts at 7:30 and ends at 10.
Both gigs take place within the drama theatre.
We look forward to seeing you there.
Imagine Live! 15th of February 2013!
Hi, my name's Swinscoe. The charity I would like to support is Macmillan Cancer Support. The reason I want to support these is my granddad fought a 6-year battle with cancer and they helped him while he was battling it, and then when he passed away they helped my nan. They supported her throughout. They were really good when they were helping my granddad through. They always made sure he had a nurse, they always made sure he was going where they wanted him to go and stuff like that, and then they provide all the support that a family needs before and after cancer.
I'm going to sing you a song. cold as I breathe. It got too dark for me to see. My mind's filled with memories, playing songs everyone would sing. Not asking you to forgive me, but hear what I have to preach. I'm sorry for what I have done. I used your weakness, but after the sun, the stars are arranged in the night sky. You have your reasons to leave. Here's my apologies. I flew you to the moon. I hope you're coming back soon. I had no reason to fight. You're my kryptonite. I'm thinking about the times we had all the way back when. And times were so much easier. Just phone calls between friends. I'm sorry for what I have done. I used your weakness, but after insecure, don't know for. You turn your head when you walk through the door. Don't need makeup to cover up. Be the way that you are is enough.
Everyone else in the room can see it. Everyone else like you.
Baby, you light up my world like nobody else. The way that you flip your head gets me overwhelmed.
The way you smile at them around me, hard to tell.
You don't know you're beautiful. So I can see you'd understand why I want you so desperately.
Right now I'm looking at you, and I can't believe
You don't know you're beautiful. That's what makes you beautiful. So come on, you got it wrong. To prove I'm right, I couldn't eat it all. I don't know why you've been shy and turn away when I look in your eyes.
everyone else in the room can see it. Everyone else but you.
Baby, you light up my world like nobody else. The way that you flip your head gets me overwhelmed.
The way you smile at the crowd, it ain't hard to tell.
You don't know you're beautiful. So I can see you'll understand why I want you so desperately.
Right now I'm looking at you, and I can't believe you don't know.
You don't know you're beautiful.
That's what makes you beautiful. Baby.
Baby, you light up my world like nobody else. The way that you flip your head gets me overwhelmed. You don't know you're beautiful. I can understand why.
Right now I'm looking at you, and I can't believe you don't know. That's what makes you beautiful.
What team or teams were you in, and what roles were you assigned?
When we first started organising it all, me and Greg were in the venues team. So we were looking at all the different venues, seeing what was available in the local area and all this stuff. And then we eventually got the drama theatre, so after that I was just kind of in between jobs. So I wasn't necessarily in a team, I was doing things that people assigned to me. So I got in touch with a radio station called WCR to see if I could get on the show, and they never got back to me, so that fell out. And then for the rest of it I was mainly just organising the afternoon. So I organised the set list, I organised the running orders, I got the acts that played and stuff like that. So that's what I did, and I performed.
And you performed as well, yeah. That first role that you said about researching venues, what did that actually involve? Did you go to venues?
Well,
did you talk to people?
What I did was I looked at different venues, so I had a look in the local area to see what was available, and then people offered to go for me, so I didn't have to. So I think it was Leah went to the leisure centre to see how much that would cost, and then obviously a group of people went over to the lights, and then we finally settled on the drama theatre. So all I really did was look at what was available and what spaces they had for the venue team. That's all I really did. Didn't really do much for that.
Okay, what sort of conversations were had then about choosing the right venue? Was it down to the cost then that the decision was made?
I think most of it was down to cost. We couldn't have the lights because someone else had booked it on the day we wanted it, from what I remember. So we couldn't have the lights for that reason. And the leisure centre was... The leisure centre, the hall that we looked at, you could either have it split in half, we could have the whole hall. And I think it was quite expensive from what I remember, so that's why we didn't go with that. And the drama theatre, it is in college, so we didn't really have to pay for it.
Yeah.
And it's a decent space. I mean, it's already got it's got a stage, it's got seating, it's already got a PA in there and all that. So I think we went with a better choice, in personal opinion, because if we'd have gone to the leisure centre, we would have had to pay for the time and the hall that we spent in there. We would have had to drag all our equipment over, so we would have to take in a PA, and then obviously chairs and tables for the charities and all that. And the lights, that would have been good, but then looking back on it, it wouldn't have been good for the afternoon because we wouldn't have anywhere to put the charity tables, because it is literally just an auditorium. You've got a stage, chairs, and no space. So.
Yeah. Okay. Did you find any of your roles challenging in any way?
The organising the afternoon was pretty. It wasn't challenging, but because I'm a lazy person, I didn't really ask the acts before I booked them. I just thought, yeah, they'll do a 15-minute set, and then I told them they had a 15-minute set. I think the only thing was trying to get as many acts as we had into the allotted time. So that was the only challenging bit, just trying to fit everyone in. And I could have been a lot more organised with that. I mean, I lost the set list a couple of times, and then I lost the running order. I didn't really talk to the acts before I booked them in. I just booked them in and then told them, so I should have spoken to them beforehand. But at the end of it, it came out all right. We didn't really. The only mishap we had with the afternoon set was the equipment. I mean, people knew when they were on. And then we kind of run short a bit, but then me and Lara filled that out by doing a couple more songs and stuff. So
good. You've sort of touched on what you might have done differently with regards to communicating with the bands in advance. What could you do? Because they're in different classes and different year groups, how might you have organised something to give them the information?
I could have emailed them all. I think the best thing would have been to do a meeting. So just all the acts, even if they knew, just get them in, make sure they know that they've been booked, make sure they know how long they've got, if they're prepared enough for it and stuff like that, if they want more time and all that. So I should have organised the meeting, but I'm lazy. So
Well, yeah.
One of my many flaws.
Well, you'd say that, but I just wonder if they felt they were prepared enough. There was a point where everybody used the cajon rather than the kit because it wasn't possible to use the kit, and they didn't know that until the day.
Yeah, well, we didn't even know that till the day, so...
Yeah, is there a reason why we didn't know that?
I think it's because a different group set up the stage, so where we had the acoustic act in the corner, it would have meant that we would have had to either drag the drum kit to where we were, where there was no space, or rearrange everything else to the drum kit. And I think we didn't really have enough time, because I didn't know people were using the drums, so that's my fault, really. I should have found out. But yeah, that's why some people were unprepared. But I mean, is his name Bradley?
Yeah.
Yeah, he did really well. Yeah, it was his first time on a little drum box, but he did really well. I mean, he shouldn't have had to be on a drum box in essence. I bet it pissed him off a little bit.
But that sort of mishap, if you want to put it that way, put him in a position where he might have felt threatened or intimidated, but
in the end,
he rose to
as a musician because he's trying out new things and stuff like that. So it all worked out.
Well, it's about seeing the positives from his point of view. That, I mean, you can't praise him high enough for taking on something like that and saying, yeah, I'll do it. He wasn't a second thought about it. He just says, no, I'll do it, which was great. Performance role then. Talk about your performance role. Just explain to me how you achieved that. What was the rehearsal process that was involved in that?
I think because it was with Lara, we didn't. I don't actually. We played a gig a couple of weeks before it with George, so that was our rehearsal. I mean, we didn't really pull our fingers out and organise a rehearsal because we've done so many songs together. We just cracked them out really.
Yeah.
I mean, we should have rehearsed, but we were really unorganised. We didn't rehearse. All we did was choose which songs we were playing, and then we just both went home and learnt them. Like, well, not learnt them, but recaps on them.
It's not to say you didn't rehearse though, because I think that's putting you in a bad light. When actually you've had a long relationship now with Lara as a musician, and you understand each other and how you're going to perform together, and the way that you interact is really good. So it's about, actually, you don't have to necessarily say I rehearsed specifically for that gig. You've done a gig recently.
Previous rehearsals.
But
all we did was we chose a set list, we went home, we recapped, and then I think we played all the songs through once before the gig, and that was it. And then we were like, yeah, we'll be fine. Which
is fine because you were familiar with the music. I'm going to get back to doing this in the right order, but that's talking about your performance role. Talking about the whole planning and preparation period, right? Can you describe to me how the group communicated and collaborated? So as a whole, how did that group communicate?
When we first started off, the communication in the group were really, really good. Like, we all knew what was going on, what other people were doing, what had been done, what needed to be done and all this. But I think as time went on, I think most of us just got fed up of it, to be honest. Like, we just couldn't be bothered. The communication broke down a hell of a lot. People stopped turning up. So then more people were doing more than they should have been doing, really. But then again, towards the end, like the last 2 weeks before the gig, we all put our act together and kind of came together as a group and kind of sorted it all out. So there was only one bad spark of communication, and that's when people weren't turning up, people just couldn't be bothered and all this. We all knew what was going on in the end, I guess. But it's each individual learner's fault, because some people don't take notes, some people just don't listen, some people get distracted, some people just can't be bothered turning up. So each to their own, it's their own fault, but as a group, it wasn't bad. It wasn't amazing, but it wasn't bad.
Yeah, because you're just highlighting there, you're relying on individuals to all play their part.
Yeah.
And if there's any kind of weak link where somebody hasn't remembered that we talked about that the week before, or they weren't here
then the rest breaks down around it.
Yeah. Is there any strong individuals within the planning and preparation side? Who would you highlight as
Leo Holloman?
Why is that?
Leo was just on the ball all the time. Like, he was so organised. When he was in, he was organised, and he pulled the group together. He was like, "You do this, you do this, you do this. I'll do this, you do that," and all this. So, and he did his stuff, and then when he finished that, he'd go help other people do their stuff as well. So he was really good. Aimee Nash, she was so organised. It's unreal. I mean, she was in charge of the charities. She was always talking to charities, getting them booked and all this. She was talking to the premises manager. She was getting the drama theatre sorted and all this. And then I don't actually think she even missed one lesson either. No. So she was probably the strongest member of the group. When it came to doing the posters, Leah was really good. She was offering help to others and all this. And then if someone didn't, so she'd miss someone out on a poster, she went back and did it. She was giving other people hints on what to do and all this.
An interview then. 5 minutes.
Okay, sorry.
So yeah, speaking of Devil, she was really good with the posters. And I can't really. I wanted to say Greg, but I didn't know what Greg was doing because he's really to himself, isn't he?
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure when he got assigned a job, he did it straight away. So Greg was good. He didn't miss a lesson either.
Yeah.
At the start, Lara was really strong. She was good at the organising and stuff like that. Matt Pospischil was always taking notes, which I noticed. I want to say that there was the only people that were really strong were Aimee and Leo, but everyone stood out on their own on certain bits. So Leo was a leader, so he needed to stand out. He was a team leader.
Yeah.
And Aimee's just always been organised, so I think it was really good having them being that strong, because we wouldn't have done it without them. But like I say, each individual person did their own thing that was strong and outstood above other people's things and stuff. So.
But those two in particular stood out. What about on the day of the festival? What was the communication, first of all, like? How do people work together? Was that good?
The bit that I was doing, so the performers, and obviously because I was organising the performers, I had to liaise with the tech team. Leo was the tech team for the afternoon. He did all the tech. I obviously helped him with it. Leo was really good. He was making sure that the mics were all working and all this. He was fiddling about and putting reverb on and sorting out the mics when we had problems with them. And while when he wasn't doing that, he was helping organise the evening. I sound big-headed, but myself, as in organising the actual acts, I think I was quite strong. I made sure people knew they were on. I'd go and get them when they were due on and all this. And then if someone run out of time, I'd talk to the person. Oh yeah, can you fill out the time slot? So yeah, Leo was really strong. I was strong. Seabourne helped both me and Leah. He was in between. So Seabourne helped me, but because I was doing my own thing, it was such, like, I had to concentrate a lot to make sure things were working. I didn't really notice anyone else.
Yeah.
I just really noticed the people that were working with me, and they were quite strong. The tea ladies, they were good. They were very good.
Okay, that's fine. Last thing, just look at the criteria below, and if you were to circle one for P5, M5 or D5, which one would you circle and why would you circle that?
I'd say Mary.
Why is that? Why would you say Lara?
Because although the performance wasn't like perfect, like it wasn't no mishaps or anything. Like me and Lara added our own thing to it. We made sure that it was fun for us and both the audience to watch. Me and Lara always argue when we're on stage, so we always do that, which is quite funny to watch.
Yeah.
And for contribution, I mean, for what I did for the afternoon, organising it and then carrying it out, I think I did all right. I certainly did more than a pass, but I didn't get a distinction because I was unorganised. Yeah, I was unorganised, and you can't artistic flair. It's just me and Lara don't intend to do that. We don't go, oh yeah, let's go for some artistic flair. It's just something we do naturally. So.
Hi, I'm Aimee. I want to do something to do with the multiple sclerosis trust because I've got, well, my best friend's mum has got multiple sclerosis, and they help out with like care and medication and funding and stuff like that.
God knows what is hiding in those weak and sunken hearts. 'Cause you kiss the girls and make them cry, those holidays queens of misadventure. God knows what is hiding in those weak and sunken eyes. Fire from the muted angels, giving love and getting nothing back. People help people. Say, give me your hand, oh, yeah. People help people, and we'll drag you down. Oh, and if I had rain, oh, and if I had rain, I'll be cold and so rich as a fool that took all these good hearts away. And God knows what is hiding in this world of little consequence, behind the truth, behind the lies. 1,000 slowly dying sunsets. God knows what is hiding in those weak and sunken hearts. Cast a loneliness came knocking. No one wants to be alone. Will save me. People help me. People, and if you're safe, give me your hand and I'll hold it. People help me. And nothing will drag you down. Oh, and if I had rain, oh, and if I had rain, I'd be cold as stone, rich as the fool that took all these good hearts away. I'm pretty sure most of you know the chorus of this one as well. When you just sing it.
What?
I'm pretty sure. Yeah. You know I'm not one to break promises. I don't wanna hurt you, but I need to breathe. And at the end of it all, you're still my best friend. But there's something inside that I need to release. Which way is right? Which way is wrong? How do I say that I need to move on? You know we're heading separate ways. everybody's got a price. I wanna have sleep at night. When the sale comes first and the truth comes second, just stop for a minute and smile. Why is everybody so serious? Acting so damn mysterious. Got shades on your eyes and your heels so high that you can't even have a good time. Everybody look to the left. Everybody look to the right. Can you feel that? Yeah, we're playing with love tonight. It's not about the money, money, money. We don't need your money, money, money. We just wanna make the world dance. Forget about the price tag. Ain't about the cha-ching, ain't about the yeah, but bling, wanna make the world dance. Forget about the price tag. We need to take it back in time. The music made us all unite. And it wasn't low blows and video hoes. Somehow the only one getting tired. Why is everybody so obsessed? Money can't buy us happiness. Can we all slow down and enjoy right now? Guarantee you within all right. Everybody look to the left. Everybody look to the right. Can you feel that? Yeah, we're playing with love tonight. It's not about the money, money, money. We don't need your money, money, money. We just wanna make a world dance. Forget about the price tag. Ain't about the cha-ching, ain't about the yeah, but bling, wanna make the world dance. Forget about the price tag. Sing la 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 la, la 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 la, la 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 la, price tag. Sing la 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 la, la 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 la, la 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 la, price tag. It's not about money, money, money. You should money, money. We just want to make a world dance. Forget about the price tag. Where is the love? Where is the love? Where is the love? Where is the love? The love, the love. Where is the love? Where is the love? Where is the love? The love, the love.
Right, so this is Aimee's music project evaluation. First part, Aimee, is tell me about the teams that you're in, the roles that you carried out, any challenges, and what you might do differently. So go through each role within each team that you might be part of.
Well, to start off with, it kind of was like everybody was in a massive like team. We kind of thought about what we wanted to do and how we wanted to do it, and everybody put ideas to the table, especially about the whole equality and diversity. I think that was decided on pretty quickly. And then everybody had ideas of charities. Obviously I put the Homeless Heroes forward. That was taken for the evening gig as part of our army charities.
Why did you put that forward as an idea for a charity? Why?
Well, I was walking through town one day, and there was like a little desk there and a guy, and they had like all of the banners up and all that stuff, and it was only a small little stand, and I went up and talked to him because not a lot of, well, he was trying to hand out leaflets to people just walking by, so I went up and I thought, oh, well, we had just done the Macmillan gig then, and I was just thinking, well, we do charity gigs all the time. I thought, well, why can't we support these guys? So I picked up some of their stuff. He gave me a brief chat about what they do, about like obviously getting people that have been in services off the streets, because that's they can't get into any other jobs because of the psychological damage. And so we I took a few of his leaflets, put them at work, and then brought it in when we did our little thing.
Well, that's the positives in that were that I remember then Matt Pospischil picked up on that idea as saying as a separate thing the evening could be focused on that. And that's a very positive thing, much as the outcome was that the army charities weren't involved. It gave a direction. So it might have been you as a starting point suggesting that one charity pushed it in a certain direction.
Well, I think everybody decided that they wanted an army charity themed evening, but when it came, we had loads of charities, but I really wanted to push this one, and I did. So it got like everybody was like really keen on it and all that lot, which was really nice because I was just like, don't pick this one, I'm just gonna walk out. But obviously I wouldn't, but you know what I mean. It was just like a thing where the way the guy was talking about it was really sad. So.
Yeah. It's good to be passionate and driven about why you want to do something. Definitely. So that was nice to see. What other roles did you start to take on throughout the process?
Well, when we first divided it up into roles, obviously we decided to look into what needed to be done, and I was put with Lara to do schools. And we started off getting like stuff together for schools, like who we wanted to invite and all that lot. It quickly got dropped because Lara had to do the whole thing, and I kind of fell back to do charity stuff with Aimee.
Right. So what do you mean it kind of got dropped because Lara had to do the whole thing?
Well, Lara started. She was one of the main role people, and she was like one of the main organisers, and everybody was coming to her with things to do and what they thought needed to be done. There was a lot of discussion on where we wanted it, like the venue and all that lot that needed to be sorted out. A lot of really important things, and I think it just got pushed to one side to do for later, which then Keith tried to take on, but it was a bit too late by then. I think if we had organised a venue a lot sooner, that we could have turned around to them and said, look, it's here on this date, we're doing this. But it was kind of like we dragged on so long about the venue.
So as a learning point then, in future, what order does things need to be done? Like you said, the venue. Yeah. Because once you've got that, we've got the date. That was always the right date.
The date was always there. The date was kind of pre-chosen. It was a thing that you came to us with. Yeah. So it was like, right, it's happening on this day. So then we had a focus point. Yeah. If we didn't have that focus point, then everyone would be like, oh, what day would we do it on? Oh, let's do it on this day. Yeah. Oh no, we can't do this day. But it was better that you came to us with a date saying this is what we're gonna do, because then everybody had time to book off work. Everybody had time to plan, rather than people going, oh, I've got work this day, or oh, I didn't know about it because the date's been changed so many times.
So we stuck to it, and I think that was important.
Oh yeah.
But so as far as like the marketing and even getting an audience, as far as school people and all the rest, we had the date sorted. It's just the venue. So if we'd had the venue, just that was decided.
Think a lot of people had different ideas of what we wanted it. I think when we did like our main focus thing right at the beginning, where we're like, this is what we want it to be about. A lot of people had different ideas of what they wanted. I think a lot of people wanted it in the garden, and a lot of people...
Imagine that.
No, well, it would have been freezing.
Looking at the weather still.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, maybe if we'd had it like a couple months down the line, but still, when do we ever get summer anymore? Yeah. But, I mean... yeah, a lot of people kind of thought about the garden and all that lot, but we had trouble with that last year because music's so out of the way. Yeah. Even with drama, I think that was a bit out of the way. I mean, it's right over by mechanics and stuff. So. Yeah. I think sixth form was a good idea, but everybody kept coming up with ideas of all these spaces that we could use, and it was just a bit like, well, what do we do? And it just dragged on. Yeah.
So decisions could have been made earlier.
Oh yeah, but I think like I said, a lot of people had so many different ideas, and they were pushing so many different ideas. And then when we finally decided it, it was like, right, now we have to market this right now.
Yeah. So there were a few flaws then in the things that not being decided early enough, so that the marketing could be clearer. Describe for me then, throughout the planning and preparation, you've said quite a bit already about it, but what was the communication like? Were people collaborating and supporting, or who were the strongest people that you would point out?
The strongest, well, no, without a doubt, it would have been Aimee Nash.
Why did you say that?
She organised everything, like even like all of the things that we kind of took as not pointless but kind of pushed to the side. She did all of them, everything. Like it would be like, what needs doing, and it would be like, oh, this, and then people would do the things that they wanted to do, and Aimee would take up all the rest, and she did.
Yeah.
And she did a really good job of it as well. Another person would be Leah, because, well, he's just a natural leader. He pushes people in the right direction. But I think in the end, like I said with Aimee Nash, I think everybody saw all the work she was doing and was just like, we should have helped her.
Yeah. When you look back on that, I suppose there are those that can say, well, comparatively, if we were to weigh it percentage-wise on the amount of work that was done, who did that bigger percentage of different tasks?
Yeah.
And you know, that's great that she's done that. It's good that you acknowledge, you can point her out as being strong.
Oh yeah.
I mean, so that's not in any doubt at all. Leo, what would you say about, in all the time you've known Leo, and I asked him this, do you find that throughout this process his communication has been better and more considerate of the different people within the group than maybe when he first began? Do you see a personal development in him in any way?
I think it, in the beginning, like the communication was really good, everybody was really hyped up for it, and then it kind of lost its way a bit, and then at the end he got everyone back together. It was him that drove everyone. So I mean, not saying that he didn't do anything through the middle, it was just like near the end I think he was just like, we need to do something, we need to push this. No.
He was within that dip that a lot of people went through. He was within that, but he kind of pulled through it and came back again strong and
and
committed.
he pulled a lot of people out of it as well.
That's it was nice to see that actually. And then moving on then, on the actual day, what was the communication like with the sort of different teams that were going on?
I think they were alright on the day for the fact of that everybody was in the same room or in the same area. One thing that during the day was annoying for me was times that performers were meant to be on. Like it would like go through like this little break of and it obviously wasn't meant to be there, but it was just like, oh, who's next then? And then somebody would be running to the other side being like, who's next, what's going on? And then it would just be like, oh, I don't know. And then somebody would come up and be like, oh, I know, you're meant to be on next. And you're like, well, thanks for telling me.
Why did that happen, do you think?
I don't think people were well informed of the set list, and I think there needed to be, it needs to be stuck somewhere so people could go, right, I'm on at that time, and if I'm not on at that time, I'm after these guys. A discussion even within that week where it's been handed out to everyone might have been something. I mean, it was stuck on the board, but it was stuck on the board, 2 days before, so probably not a lot of people probably just will buy it, and even if they didn't, like, if it was only stuck in the Music Academy and it's happening over there, who's going to remember that?
So a few copies of it might have been nice, pinned on the inside of the door or near the performing area as well. So that might have been a bit better. Whose job was that? Scott? Yeah, I think so. I mean, to be fair, like, he did a set list that got lost and then he rewrote a whole new one, which, you know, I think he remembered some of it, but at least he did it. Like, he could have just left it and everybody would be like, well, what's going on? But he did it, so... I mean, there's a lot of strengths in what Scott did. I'm sure he's learned from the experience as well. I'm hoping he has. The last part is about the actual performance side of things on the day. If you look at the 3 boxes, the past merit distinction, and just have a quick read of what the criteria says, what would you grade yourself as, and what reasons would you give for that?
I don't know. I mean, to be fair, when I went up there, I just did what I normally did and did what me and Aimee normally do.
Yeah.
I think annoying for me and Aimee is that every time we go to perform, our audience just goes.
Really?
Every time.
Oh.
Yeah,
What
like
does that say?
Freshers Fair first year,
Oh.
they decided to cut the roof off of a car, so everybody went to go see that.
It's telling you something.
The last the last year's MMP, nobody turned up.
Well, so that was for everything.
This one, not many people turned up. The Freshers Fair this year, I think they were doing something spectacular, like there was a wall climbing thing that everybody was attracted to.
Never mind the audience though, but you as a performer, how do you feel the two of you performed? You performed solo stuff as well, didn't you, in the afternoon?
Yeah.
So how would you grade that as a
I
performance?
think I'll probably merit.
Right, okay, so you would say it was competent.
Yeah, it was, well...
And it was
yeah.
confident,
Yeah.
your performance, you were confident. What about looking at the distinction criteria? Is there not elements there of interpretation, musical interpretation, lyrical interpretation?
Well, obviously, it's not going to be exactly the same as the original.
There you are then, yeah.
Obviously from the fact of instruments.
Yeah.
Also, like, played differently. Like, instead of just, like, normally, I only play chords, but, like, picking them and all that lot, so it was a bit different.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then mine and Amy's harmonies.
So there's interpretation there, artistic flair. Yeah. Is it hard to grade yourself as a distinction and come out and say that? Or do you seriously think, well?
I don't want to like turn around and be like, I deserve a distinction and all that lot, because someone's creativity and like artistic flair could be completely different to someone else's.
Yeah.
And I mean, obviously everybody puts their own spin on different kind of songs, and so I think it's hard to grade someone like that, because
so you see, that's my job to do, isn't
I
it?
know.
So it's good to ask you personally what you think. So if I were, this is hard then, this is hard. If you were to grade Aimee Nash in terms of your performance, how would you grade her? And why? Just out of curiosity.
Well, I'll probably grade her as a distinction because, well, she does her own little thing, and she's good at what she does. She always performs confidently. She always like brings herself into it. So there's always her in her performance.
Yeah.
So.
Well, there you are. Be interested. I'll ask her. That's a toughie. That's always a toughie to grade yourself.
Well, I mean, in anything, like, how can you turn around and say that they haven't got artistic flair or something like that when it's not the artist doing that song?
Yeah.
And if it's completely, well, not even completely different, but even marginally different, that's still someone else's input.
Yeah. What is your artistic flair within the songs that you do? What do you change? Of course, you're playing like an acoustic version. You're doing harmonies with Aimee.
Yeah.
You're splitting up verses sometimes. Additionally, what else do you do?
Well, there's other than like harmonies, so we have two completely different parts, and I make up my part.
Yeah.
Like every harmony part, that's what I've created. Like I haven't taken it from anywhere. It's what's come out of my mind.
Yeah. Phrasing of things. You phrase things differently, so you're expressing the words maybe in a different way to emphasise. So you're driving towards another word that person originally might not have aimed for, focused landing on.
Probably. I mean, obviously, when you listen to a song, you're always gonna sing it like they do because that's the song. But if different things mean different things to you, then you're obviously probably gonna change it in your own way subconsciously. I'm pretty sure there's like, I think in Shelter, I put in a lot more pauses because it like I want it to sound eerie and spacey and like have that. Right, okay, there's a pause here, so it's like quite dramatic, even though it's really a soft song.
Yeah.
But it makes more of an impact.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's working.
Yellow diamonds in the light, and we're standing side by side as your shadow crosses mine. What it takes to everybody's got a price. I wanna have a sleep at night. When the sale comes first and the truth comes second, just stop for a minute and smile. Why is everybody so serious? Acting so damn mysterious. Got shades on your eyes and your heels so high that you can't even have a good time. Everybody look to the left. Everybody look to the right. Can you feel that? Yeah, we're playing with love tonight. It's not about the money, money, money. We don't need your money, money, money. We just wanna make the world dance. Forget about the price tag. Ain't about the cha-ching, cha-ching. Ain't about the ba-bling, ba-bling. Wanna make the world dance. Forget about the price tag. We need to take it back in time. Made us all unite, and it wasn't low blows and video hoes. Am I the only one getting tired? Why is everybody so obsessed? Money can't buy us happiness. Can we all slow down and enjoy right now? Guarantee you within all right. Everybody look to the left. Everybody look to the right. Can you feel that? Yeah, we're playing with love tonight. It's not about the money, money, money. We don't need your money, money, money. We just wanna make a world dance. Forget about the price tag. Ain't about the cha-ching, cha-ching. Ain't about the ba-bling, ba-bling. Wanna make a world dance. Forget about the price tag. Sing la 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 la. La 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 la. La 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 la. Price tag. Sing la 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 la. La 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 la. La 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 la. Price tag. It's not about money, money, money. You should I choose money. We just want to make a world dance. Forget about the price tag. Ain't about the cha-ching, ain't about the ba-bling, wanna make a world dance. Forget about the price. Where is the love? Where is the love? Where is the love? Where is the love? The love, the love. Where is the love? Where is the love? Where is the love? The love, the love.
Hello. Design yourself a radio's gonna stick. Polish up a grade. Put that in your wall. That this isn't country at all. Radio station. At your sale. The word. You're just leading us up. Put that. This isn't nothing at all. Straight off the boat. Where to go? Calling on transit, calling on Radio Free Europe, Radio Free Europe, country of the world. Instead of pushing passes to fall, put that in your car. That this isn't anything at all. Straight off the boat. country in the world. This is a point that's leading us aside. Radio station inside yourself. Calling on transit, calling on transit, radio free, yeah, radio free, yeah, calling on transit, calling on transit, radio free, yeah, radio free, yeah. Two boys on in the playground trying to shove it down. See the crowd gather round, nothing now like a crowd, like a load in a white light. Would you fill up the tank? Let's go for a ride. I don't care about no wheelchair. I've got so much left to do with my life. Moving backwards through time, never fun, never mind. Besides yours, besides mine, brother, you ain't my kind. Black gold in a white lie. Would you fill up the tank? Let's go for a ride. Sure would like to feel so bright, but this place makes me feel so down inside. You can't go tonight. Keeps the kids off the streets, gives her something to do, something to eat. This once was a playground, this used to be a town. Black gold in a white ply. Would you fill up a tank? Let's go for a ride. I don't care about no wheelchair. I've got so much left to do with my life. Black gold in a white light. Would you fill up the tank? Let's go for a ride. I don't care about no wheelchair. I've got so much left to do with my life. to collapse alone, freezing down everyone. Nowhere to collapse alone, freezing down everyone.
Okay. Right, so this is Lara's evaluation of major music project. Lara, you carried out lots of different roles. Can you go through each different role and what you felt you achieved? What were the tasks that you carried out and what you've achieved?
From the start, I was made like project manager. Basically, that role included organising everyone, making sure that they were put into the teams, like marketing and venues, etc., and making sure that they all knew what they were doing. I also looked at the venues for the event, and I was liaising with charities on the day and charity shops in Andover before the event. With being a team leader, from the start it was really good because we did, a lot of us had a lot of enthusiasm about it, but then as we got through it kind of died down, and I think we needed to keep that enthusiasm throughout the whole thing. But obviously if you're doing it every week, obviously going to get not bored of it, but it's a bit, you know what I mean, like samey.
Yeah.
I think that with the 3 team leaders or project managers, it was really good because if anyone needed help, then they could have gone to me, Matt or Leo. However, I do think that there was a lack of communication between each of the teams and us as project managers as well.
Yeah.
Because if Leo got told something, like with the whole band situation, Leo was meant to get in contact with them, and I had one of the band members come up to me in town and ask me what was going on when Leo had previously told me that they'd already confirmed, yada yada yada, etc. So I think that we should have communicated more as a whole group and as the project managers as well.
Okay, that's kind of an interesting overview, and I can see what you're saying with that. I totally hear what you're saying there. Individually though, talk about these tasks then. So as a team leader, communicating with the whole group, how did you find that as a task to do? Did you find that as something easy for you?
I quite enjoy it, and I do find it easy, but I do get up and sing at people, and I'm quite passionate about everything. So it is it's easy to get your point across as well, because you do have to be just really direct and get straight to the point. No point faffing around, because it's just pointless. It was really good especially when I was up at the board and delegating people jobs to do, and it's nice when you do that and people actually listen. But as time went by, I think the emphasis in our roles, not just me but all of the what are they called? Project managers, kind of lost emphasis a tiny bit. But I think we still did well, but there was a lot of things we could have done better, like I said before, like the communication, and just generally making sure that we knew what everyone was doing as well, because even if I was giving people roles or one of the other project managers was giving people roles, we needed to make sure that they actually knew what they were doing, and that each of the project managers knew what they were doing and what they were meant to be doing to get things done. And I think by the end of it, there was a lot of people that were like, yeah, I'm going to get into contact with this charity and bring it in and say they were going to get into contact with them each week.
So they were saying they were doing the same task, but it was every
Over and
week it
over
was the
again,
same task, so there was no progress.
There was
with some.
no, not at all.
What would have helped that with, you know, you did delegate and there were 3 project managers. Could you have overseen separate teams? And
I think what should have happened was there was 3 project managers. That's more than enough for the group of people that were involved in this event. There was only 12 students about that, wasn't there? 12, 15, something like that. Not very many. I do think that we should have assigned like a project manager to a group of people that were doing similar roles, so like promoting it, talking to charities and talking to the bands.
Yeah.
One project manager for each of them. But again, if the communication breakdown was breaking down when there was no separate groups, what would it have been like if we were all properly separated? I mean, I think it would have worked, but I think the communication is more key than separating the groups up, because if you don't have communication then no one knows what they're doing and it just all goes out the window, to be honest.
Yeah. Would it have helped to have meetings just with the 3 managers?
Yeah, definitely. I think that me, Leah and Matt should have met up with, like, I think that the people that weren't the project managers should have come back to us and said, look, this is what we've done last week, this is what we're going to do this week. Given the evidence to us, me, Leah and Matt could then sit down and decide what they were going to do next, what we could do next to make sure that everything was going smoothly. Didn't happen. However, I do think the gig went far better than what it could have done in the morning and in the afternoon. In the morning and the afternoon, in the afternoon and evening.
Yeah.
In the afternoon, I do think a few more people could have come, and a few charities. But I do think a fair few students turned up. But with the charities, because I went round 7 of the charity shops in town and 6 of them pulled out, and then we had 2 confirmed, and then on the day, the one that confirmed, 6 of them said no and the other one said yes, which was cancer research. On the day I was waiting for them, they didn't even show up. And I've got no control over whether they say yes and then don't turn up, but I think I kept going back to them. I did go back to them twice in a week, and I said, look, you've confirmed, come down, it's all free. And they did seem really up for it. Obviously, things change. I've got no control over that. None of the students have any control over that, but what we do have control over is the preparation. And I do think at the beginning when we said that we only wanted 10 charities, I think that's just straight away, that just limited us, because I think we should have invited far more than 10 charities, because we only wanted 10, that's all that we were inviting, or we invited 15 just to make sure. Even then, if everyone came up with 5 charities, that's like near enough 50, 60 charities that could have possibly turned up, and that's just them hearing about it. Fair enough, we wouldn't have wanted 60 of them to turn up in that tiny little space, but it would have been decent amount of backup, and at least, even if they said yes, we could have just given them a stall and had leaflets about them there, you know, as opposed to having the 2 charities turn up that did.
Yeah. No, I think you're right. I think you've got to fish in the pond and see what comes out of
What's
it, and
available,
not limit. Don't start with small expectations.
I think that was the problem, because everyone was saying like we should get 10 because of the space that we were looking at. I think it was good to have the expectations of having 10 charities, but the limitations of having 10, because as soon as we said 10, we were only inviting 15 charities, and that's so limited. I mean, how many turned up? 2.
This is the thing, isn't it? But then it's the first time that your group have organised an event like that. If you were to do it again, then you would say invite a whole lot more.
I would say just get it out there. I mean, the promotion side of it was, I tried getting it on the radio, but the guy that I knew had actually moved to London, and I didn't know that. Called up my friend Hannah, got all the numbers, tried to sort it. Again, it all fell through.
what I would do differently though is just make sure everyone communicated and not try and limit people, because I know at the start when I was going around advertising it to charities, there was a few people that were a bit nervous about talking to strangers and saying, this is our event, we're doing this, and I think people needed to know what their strengths were so they could assign themselves proper tasks that they knew they were going to get done to a high standard. Fair enough, we had a few people that thought they could do some tasks that they set themselves, but again it fell through. I just think next time we now know, because of this, what we're all good at and what we're all not so good at, and I think if we did another one it would actually go really well. And we because we've learnt from this, it's not as if it went terribly. People turned up, we raised a bit of money. Any money's money at the end of the day. But I do think next time communication needs to be better, the promotion needs to be better, and just generally keeping the enthusiasm about it alive. Because at the start, I mean, you know, we were all pretty doing stuff, talking to people about it, and then everyone just kind of got fed up about it because they thought it would all be done and dusted like that. And I don't think people realised not how hard it was going to be, but how long it would take to organise something like this.
Do you think it could have been organised quicker, and if it had been done by the Christmas break, we wouldn't have had that dip then, the January dip in energy?
I think if it was done like, this is the venue, these are the charities, they've confirmed, this is what we're doing, this is when it is, this is why it's happening, like bish bash bosh bang, it would have been a lot simpler than having to drag it out for months and months. Because I mean, at the end of the day, if we were all doing what we said that we were going to do and what we've been assigned to do and what we'd assigned ourselves to do, it could have been done in like a month, to be honest.
For the size of team you had.
It could have been done a lot shorter, and I do think we actually probably gave ourselves too much time, because I think a lot of the students' mentality was, we've got months to do it, let's just bum around and do nothing. Whereas if it had been a shorter amount of time, it would have been like, oh my god, it's in a month, we need to do this now, we need to get this sorted now, do it now.
I know, like the last 2 weeks leading up to it,
everyone
when we had that, it's soon. Everyone suddenly was
just like, oh my god, And but, you know, it's a learning curve, isn't it?
It is, isn't it? It is. Okay, so you've talked a lot then about the planning and all the communication during that stage. On the day then, on the actual day, what was the communication and collaboration like? Would you think it was good, it was healthy?
I think the communication was quite good, even though it was late. Because when I turned up, I did say, me and Aimee are going to meet the people. I told everyone to move all their bags and out of the way, because it was just going to be ridiculous when the charities started coming. Met a lady called Bobby, who was from Parkinson's disease charity. She was really nice. Waited with Aimee for the other charity, which was the MS Society. Sadly, the charity that I had that confirmed didn't turn up, which was Cancer Research, but that was from the charity shop in town. So we were waiting there for ages and they didn't show up. Me and Aimee knew what we were doing. Me and Kim knew what we were doing. The girls communicated quite well. However, on the flip side of it, I don't know what happened with the tech lot, because I don't understand anything about that. But from what happened, it looked like it was going well. We got a fair few people coming in and out in dribs and drabs. We all performed really well, obviously. You know. But I do think on the day, at the beginning of it, it did seem quite scatty. Like, I think it could have been, with the setting up and stuff, even though I don't know anything about it, so I shouldn't really be saying this, I think it could have been done like, these are your roles, do them by this time. Like, I thought, like, when the charity started coming, they got there at like 10:15, 10:30ish, and we were still setting up. Fair enough, it was all set up time, but I would have thought that we would have been done so the charities could get there and we could just focus on the charities, as opposed to having all of the group doing stuff with cables,
Yeah.
and me chatting to Bobby, asking her if she wanted coffee,
Mm-hmm.
which was that's another thing that was really awkward. I asked her if she wanted a cup of tea or coffee, and she was like, "Yeah, I'll have a cup of coffee, please." I was like, "Okay then." So I went and asked him, and the big water things weren't there.
Oh, weren't they?
They didn't turn up on time, no,
Right.
and I thought they were meant to be there early as well because it was a setup.
Yeah.
So I think we all needed to work on our timings a bit more, like not as individuals and as a whole, because a lot of people had confusion about what time the daytime one started, what time the evening one started, what time people were getting there, and I thought from the start that we said that it was going to start at 7:30 and doors were going to be at 7. Turned out it started at 7:45 and doors were at 7:30.
Yeah.
And 7:45's a funny time to start something.
There was a lot of
you know,
confusion about
and
times. Yeah.
From the beginning as well, I genuinely thought we had all agreed that it was gonna doors 7, start at 7:30.
Yeah.
Clearly on the day, completely different.
Yeah, and that has a huge impact.
And I think, especially when I was going around the charity shops as well, because I was talking to the British Heart Foundation store in Andover, and I had a lady come up to me that was just in the shop, and she was like, "So what time does it actually start then?" And I was like, "Well, doors are at 7 and then it starts at 7:30. But it was good because I had a member of the public that I'd never met before was interested in it. So I told her what I thought was correct, came back to college, and suddenly all the posters are saying it starts at 7:30. And again, that was a communication breakdown. Unfortunately, it happens, but I think from the start, like I keep saying, at the beginning it was really good, everyone knew what they were doing.
Yeah.
As it got further and further into it, because we had such a long time.
Yeah.
Now, how long did we have? 4 months, didn't we?
Oh yeah, it started as soon as we were
So-
back, really, September.
Yeah, a lot of time.
Yeah.
I just think people were just kind of like, "Oh, it's only an event, David will sort it out," but no.
I'm not allowed
No.
to intervene, even putting posters up that all had different conflicting times on. I put them up, and it was pointed out to me, well, not pointed out to me, but pointed out by Rob, that some didn't have date, some didn't have time, some didn't have venue, and I thought, well, that's the point. The point is, I'll put that up, and see if the students are aware of this. And it was quite shocking, really. And that's the communication during the process, the planning.
One of the other problems was as well, when all the like posters came out and stuff, obviously me, Matt and Leah were all the team leader, project managers or whatever you want to call us. One of us should have noticed, to be honest. We were meant to be not organising the whole thing, we were meant to be delegating roles, we were meant to know what everyone else was doing, and I must admit, only until you said that the posters were wrong, that's when I knew that they were wrong. I knew that people were confused about the timings, but I didn't know that people had printed them out wrong on the posters, and if we'd found that out earlier, we would have been able to combat the poster issue and get out good posters with correct information on. Because some of them didn't even have the venue on, did they? Some of them,
no.
All the bands that were playing, or why it was, or anything relevant to the day at all, really.
Yeah.
So.
Oh well, that's another thing then, that, like you say, as the project manager, you might have had one of you just look and read through it
and check everything that everyone was doing. But I think it's with a group of people that are not only fellow students but your friends as well. Yeah. It's quite tricky for some of us to be like, do this now, otherwise I'm going to give you a sad face next to your name. But it's like when we were writing on the board, and I did start doing that when Keith wasn't doing anything and other people weren't doing work, I did start putting sad faces on the board. Fair enough, it's just a sad face, but it's still something to kind of, because I can't exactly turn around and give them all disciplinaries,
No. But it did you find that was maybe not necessarily motivational, but did you find at least what you're doing is highlighting and with a bit of humour? It's not like
I think at least
serious.
they knew that, oh no, I've got a sad face, I need to do something, you know what I mean? Like at least they're thinking, I haven't done enough, Whereas if you're just like, what have you done today? Oh, nothing. Oh, alright then, what next person?
Yeah.
Whereas, what have you done? Nothing. Oh, sad face next to you, you know what I mean? It actually highlights the fact they've done nothing and they need to do something. Yeah.
Yeah. Was there any other ways that you felt you tried to motivate or highlight what work hadn't been done yet or still needed to be done? How did you set tasks, for example, like for the next week? You were doing action plans.
We were doing the action plans at the beginning. We were given the like the minutes sheets that you gave us, and we all wrote everything down. By the end of it, they somehow fizzled out as well. We weren't getting them. But I do think that because you had so much input from the start, when you kind of stepped back and let us take over, we were kind of like, oh my god, where's David gone? What are we doing? What's going on? You know. It's kind of like we were thrown out into the big wide world and didn't know what was going on. But then again, that's like our fault really. We should have known it was all of us should have known it was our event. We were meant to be doing the work. We shouldn't have been involving you from the start half as much as what you were involved. Everyone should have looked at it. This is an event for charity. We get to perform. We're performing. I like doing music. I'm doing music. Let's actually be passionate about this. But a lot of people just thought, oh, it's just another gig.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know?
People don't see the bigger picture necessarily, do they? And my involvement at the start, I think, was only important as far as if you hadn't, as that team, organised something. You've organised other things yourselves, but because as our team, you needed certain strategies, maybe certain pointers of like the sad face thing. I don't think I started the sad face, but I did put up like the mind map of who's done what.
Yeah, and I completely agree with you, but I think when you're working with people that you haven't necessarily worked with in a big group like this to do an event, it's very difficult. Even though you know people as your friends, it's very difficult to know what they are good and not so good at academically and in a way that's like advertising, promoting things, getting into contact with bands, making sure people know what they're doing.
Yeah.
And I think because of that, it did make it trickier to kind of go about how to communicate that across to your fellow students and friends. But I do think there are definitely some things that we could have worked on, like the promotion, like the charities getting involved. But I do think that by the end of it, we did kind of all pull together, and at least we got people there.
Yeah, and put on a good show.
And it was
both
fabulous.
Parts of it.
Yeah, and I think it could have gone a lot worse. But everything can go better. But I do think it could have gone better. But yeah,
there's a lot of strengths in what happened on that day. I think there's a lot of strengths, and my opinion is that the communication was better because it was more immediate, that people had to communicate to get something done because it wasn't happening. I think that's when it seems to work best with the group.
And that's why I think when everyone was stressing out because it was only like a week till it, that's when we all kind of stepped up, especially Leo. He was Leo and Aimee, because Aimee was getting into contact with all the charities, and Leo especially, he kept going around asking people, what are you doing, do you know what you're doing, you do this, I need you to do the tech in here, etc. And I think because we only had a week left, because everyone was panicking, everyone was listening to someone because they needed that guidance. And they needed to do something because none of them, at the end of it all, didn't want it all to fall through, to be honest.
No, exactly. Just looking at the last section then, there's the 3 boxes with past merit distinction. This is with regards to the performance side of things on the actual day. How would you grade yourself as past merit distinction, and can you explain why that would be the case?
Is this just the performing?
Yeah, just thinking about your performance on the actual day.
I would probably give myself pass or a merit.
Why just a pass or a merit?
Because I don't personally think that me and Scott took it seriously enough.
Right.
I think that we did pick songs like What Makes You Beautiful that are quite happy and jolly, and they do mean stuff to people, and I think because of the charities that were there, we did kind of want to pick songs that were kind of motivating in a way, and we're happy. However, I do think that when we were performing it, we were giggling too much and we were not taking the performance seriously enough. But then again, on the flip side of it, it was a charity event. You are meant to make people feel happy about the charities, but be serious at the same time. And I think some of our songs were quite serious. Some of them had a really strong message. But I just think that because me and Scott were kind of not messing around, but we were having a laugh, and I do think, I mean, yeah, it's needed because it was quite a serious event, but in the same vein, I don't think it was needed because it was a serious event.
No, exactly. That's
So,
interesting.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely. But the key words in the merit is competently and confidently. So you're confident, more than competent. The distinction, I don't know, my way of looking at it is all you said about that, you had a laugh with it and everything, and Scott's comment was that he didn't feel that he'd rehearsed much with you, but those songs that you performed, you've performed before, so prior to that you have had rehearsals on them, and there was interpretation of what you did. You interpreted the songs and you made them...
We did change them, and we do, especially with the One Direction one, me and Scott do make that more me and Scott than any other song that we do, if that makes sense, because it's proper harmonies, and it sounds really weird, but that song is literally just us, like, all over. When we perform that, everyone loves it.
So there's competently, confidently is within distinction as well. Interpretation, you've taken songs and you've done them in an acoustic way with harmonies, and your interaction is very good. As the way your personalities are, you understand each other well. I think I've written that up on some other feedback, that you are what's the word? You're kind of good. You're fair to each other as performers. That you give that person the chance to shine, and it goes back and forward.
It's not one-sided either. But the other thing with me and Scott is we've been performing together for 3 years now. If I do anything wrong, he'll know what to do, and if he does anything wrong, like if he plays a wrong chord, I'll know what to do, and we both know. Like if I look at him a certain way, he'll know, right, I'm gonna go back to a chorus now, or like, and we both know how we both work when we're performing because we have been performing for so long. So
that's it's interesting that you started by saying pass or merit. Looking at those words, I don't know. I'm definitely not saying it was a pass, not just a pass. I mean, I'd say you've hit merit, and through this discussion, from my personal view of what I saw on the day and what's on the video,
I do think it's a good performance. This is going to sound really bad. This is going to sound really big-headed, but me and Scott, when we perform, we don't necessarily do bad performances, if that makes sense. Everyone has bad days, but it's not... Me and Scott know what to do. We're not going to perform something that we don't know, that we've only rehearsed like 5 times. We're not going to do that. Fair enough, we may not have had rehearsal for ages through some of the songs that we did, but when we previously did them, we were rehearsing for weeks and weeks and weeks, and we knew them like the back of our hand.